Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Macon-Bibb County Commission meeting. Today is Tuesday, January 17th, 2023, and the time is now 5:04, and we're acting as a pre-commission, acting as a committee of the whole. I'd like to officially welcome everyone here today. We do have several items on the agenda. This is our 5 o'clock meeting, and we also have our regularly scheduled meeting for those of you at home at 6 o'clock. So I'd like to officially call this meeting to order. We do have a quorum present, and I think we have 7 members. That's correct. We'll go ahead and move with the approval of the minutes for December 20th, 22 meeting. Can I get a motion to approve? Got a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Clark. Can we get a second? Second by Commissioner Howell. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries. Item 2 is appointments to authorities, boards, and committees. The first one is a resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission appointing Horace Holmes and Henry Geck to the Macon-Bibb County Fire Civil Service Board. Both of these come highly recommended, and we've already completed all of our checks and everything. They were not able to be here tonight, but I think most of us know who they are tonight. So this time I'd entertain a motion for approval. Motion by Commissioner Bronson. Can we get a second? Second by Commissioner Wilder. Any further discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries to be sent to consent agenda. Item B is a resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission appointing Jonathan Barton to serve as members of the Macon-Bibb County Urban Development Authority. Mr. Barton is here. If you could please stand. Likewise, he comes with a good recommendation, and he has all of his paperwork been sent and verified today, and he is here. And Mayor Pro Tem Clark, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I would just at the proper time like to make that motion and also be added as a co-sponsor for this.
Yes, sir. We'll do so. And Commissioner Bronson.
Same as well, sir, for this one and the previous.
Yes, sir. We'll do that. So we this time I'd entertain a motion for approval. A motion by Mayor Pro Tem Clark. We got a second? Second by Commissioner Bronson. Any further discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries. Will be sent to consent agenda. Thank you, Mr. Barton, for being here tonight. We're going to move on to item C, which is a resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission reappointing Charles Richardson to serve as a member of the Macon-Bibb County Urban Development Authority. I have been in contact with the UDA, and he has done an excellent job serving on the Urban Development Authority, and I'd like to recommend that Mr. Richardson continue to serve in that capacity. Can we get a motion to approve? Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Clark, second by Commissioner Bronson. Any further discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. Item D is a resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission reappointing Jean Eason to the Macon-Bibb County Planning and Zoning Commission. Ms. Eason has been serving our community well. She does still have time available to serve on the Industrial Authority, and I have spoken with their administrators there, and they will join in that appointment. Commissioner Lucas, you have something to add?
My question was
Sure.
on the Urban Development Authority,
Okay, go
but
ahead.
you're so quick.
I didn't see you
call
light,
the-
ma'am. What's your question?
My question was, who are these folks replacing,
Sure.
and how many terms have some of the others served?
So Jonathan Barton was should have been the material, but he was replacing Miss Loretta Thomas, who is term limited there. And then Charles Richardson would be a reappointment of himself.
Mm-hmm.
And we have one more appointment that we'll be bringing to you at a later date that we have not filled yet from the urban, at least one, maybe two on the Urban Development Authority. But they do have term limits, and we have at least 2 that are term limited out. And then we have Mr. Thomason, who's been out for a while. Okay. And we're in Jean Eason right now, and we do have a recommendation. Do we get a motion yet? I get a motion to accept Jean Eason as a candidate for the Industrial Authority. Got a motion by Commissioner Tillman, second by Commissioner Wynn. Any discussion regarding her appointment? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. Going to move on to item 3A, which is a resolution of the Macon-Bibb County authorizing the mayor to execute a professional services agreement with Patricia Ursery for provision of court reporting and transcription services for Macon Judicial Accountability Courts under the Judicial Council of Georgia American Rescue Act plan. Any question regarding that item? One of the attorneys want to come up and explain anything out of that? Ms. Davis?
Good afternoon. This is just for court reporting services for accountability court. they have their own ARPA funds, the courts do, and so they're using those funds to pay for these services. I believe she's going to get $200 a day for court reporting plus an additional fee for transcriptions.
So this was their selection and also their funds that they got directly from ARPA, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Any questions, Ms. Davis? Here are no questions. We'll entertain a motion. I'm sorry, Ms. Wynn?
I'm sorry, I asked you a question. You answered. Didn't mean to do that, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, it's a substantial amount of money, but it'll cover their needs over there.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's a couple $100,000, but I'm not sure the exact amount.
I don't want to opine, but it was in excess of 500,000. I know that.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. We need a motion at this time. Got a motion by Commissioner Howell, second by Commissioner Lucas. Any further questions? Here are no questions. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries. I neglected to tell commissioners we do have a need to go into executive session tonight, so when we get to that point, we will go into executive session for a brief period of time. We have an appropriation from the Macon-Bibb County Commission to authorize the appropriation of up to $50,000 from the American Rescue Plan Act funds, revenue replacement for the purpose of providing matching funds for a grant for the preparation of the MATS MPO freight plan. And I'm not sure who's going to speak on. Oh, yes. Look, Mr. Greenfield, you come up. Sorry, my voice is out tonight. If you just speak into that microphone, identify yourself and tell us a little bit about this matching grant.
Yes, sir. My name is Michael Greenwald. I am the Planning Director and MPO Technical Coordinator for the Macon Area Transportation Study. This money is to be used for a freight study as described by Mayor Miller, specifically for the purposes of doing forecasting related to freight volumes and for the MATS area, which includes the entirety of Macon-Bibb County. This is a project that Georgia Department of Transportation has been trying to get us to do since 2017, 2018. The existence of the ARPA funds provides an opportunity for us to take some of those funds and leverage them against other state available funds for the purposes of doing this project. Realize it's kind of a rather broad overview. I'll be happy to entertain any questions that anyone has.
Sure, Commissioner Jones.
Yes, Michael Mallory Jones. Is this to study the impact of delivery over our roads? Is that, I don't quite understand.
It is to study the impact of delivery over our state and federal road network. Also involves the potential for forecasting future freight volumes from things like expansion at the Port of Savannah, looking at the potential warehousing capabilities that we have in the area, both the existing capability and a forecast of potential future needs as well.
Okay, so you're in favor of it, obviously. And sounds like a good project.
Mayor Pro Tem Clark.
Thank you for being here. My understanding is if we allocate this money, it loosens up roughly $200,000 for the whole budget to be $250,000. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And the money has to come from the revenue replacement portion of the American Rescue Plan for this to be funded fully, correct?
That's correct in the specific. More generally, what they, meaning the Federal Highway Administration and GDOT, are looking for is local matching funds. These particular category of funds awarded under the American Rescue Plan qualify as that local match.
Got it. Well, thank you so much. I think $50,000 for a $200,000 return is a heck of an investment. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I would agree. I think most of us realize the significance of our location here in Macon-Bibb County through the port and other areas. And we have several, without going into depth, we have several potential sites here in Macon that would be an inventory, and this study is certainly something that's going to be helpful for us to improve economic development, so we ask you to support it. So this time I entertain a motion for approval. Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Clark, second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries to be sent to consent agenda. Item B is authorize the appropriation up to $250,000 from the general fund. I'm sorry. Mr. Watkins?
It was for the previous, I was just curious, were we gonna be receiving the actual physical report? And if so, what's the timeline on completion?
Yes, sir. The report itself would be a public document, so we can make sure that delivery to the commission is part of the scope of work. Timeline for completion, we would be looking to have it done by June of 2025.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to item B, is an ordinance to authorize the appropriation of up to $250,000 from the general fund balance for facilities management department budget for the purpose of funding emergency repairs at the South Bibb Recreation Center, to authorize the mayor to execute a necessary service agreement with a qualified plumber or other maintenance or repair professionals as needed. As you recall, we had received some extensive damages out the South Bibb Recreation during the time that we had the pipes had frozen, and this is the amount of money that it costs to do the rehab there. I'm not sure if anybody has any additional information on that, but we'll be happy to answer questions if needed from commissioners. Just a maintenance and repair, and we're self-insured. So let me see, Commissioner Watkins.
Yeah, just for clarity, I guess it was done on the emergency work order and the work has been completed by said contractor and this is just reimbursing us?
No, sir. It is
Okay.
in process of being completed. So I got ahead of the game and thought I'd go ahead and transfer the funds now instead of waiting till the work to be completed. But yes, it started as an emergency. This happened, 2 weeks ago? And so far, they've just started on the remediation. And the reason why I say it's up to, because as they go in and replacing sheet rock and things of that nature, they're finding out the extensiveness of the damage.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Watkins.
Just as a reminder, a refresher for me, could you go over briefly how the emergency procurement works and if it any at all it relates to local procurement conversations we've been having?
It does. When it's deemed an emergency, depending on the value of the emergency, I believe I have the authority up to 50,000. Anything over that, the mayor has to approve it. And from that, we can suspend the procurement process and try to find someone that can come in immediately and take care of this.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, local plumbers are there now?
I believe so. The contractor that built the center was called first. This was a SPOS project. I believe this center was built in the last 10 years. And so from there, he's using his local people to do it.
Understood. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Watkins. At this time, we entertain a motion for approval. Motion by Commissioner Jones. We have a second. Second by Commissioner Wilder. Any further discussions? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. Thank you. That motion carries to be sent to consent agenda. I want to back up earlier. I misspoke. I mentioned Jean Eastman's name several times. I think we all know she's planning and zoning and not the industrial authority, but I had economic development on my mind. But she's done a good job at planning and zoning. She's a recommendation. I had offered that up and you had accepted earlier. Just want to make sure I clarify that. Going to move on to the change of code. Item A is the ordinance of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to amend Chapter 10 of the Macon-Bibb County Ordinances, adopted updated versions of the International Fire Code and Life Safety Code is adopted by the state of Georgia. We have someone going to explain that, Ms. Beavers.
Good evening, Commissioners. Mayor Miller. My name is Adriana Beavers, and I'm an Assistant County Attorney. This ordinance update is to change our local fire code to match that the state has recently updated to the 2018 versions. Previously, we were at the 2012 versions. There are moderate updates relating to technical building specs and general fire code, but this just keeps us in keeping with the state fire marshal and their regulations.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. Have any questions from commissioners? Hearing no questions, I'll entertain a motion for approval. Motion by Commissioner Wynn. Do we get a second? Second by Commissioner Wilder. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries to be sent to Senate Committee. Consent agenda. Item 6A is a resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to authorize the mayor to execute a quitclaim deed for the sale of property located at 867 College Street, totaling approximately 3/100 of an acre to Ethiel and Michelle Garlington, for the fair market value of $2,861, and for all of the lawful purposes. Attorney, if you want to speak on that one as well, please.
Mr. Garlington approached the county about purchasing a small lot adjacent to his own current property. It is bordered on two sides by public areas, ours, and then on one side by a corporation that Mr. Garlington is a part of. And that corporation did send in a letter voicing their consent to the sale. So this property does not need a public hearing or an auction process. It's not part of the public right-of-way, and the size and shape of it renders it unable to be used as zoned based on its current shape. There's not enough space for setbacks, which is why we can just go with the offer or consent of the neighbors.
Okay. Any questions from Ms. Beavers regarding this property? Hearing no questions, can we get a motion to approve? Motion by Commissioner Jones. We have a second. Second by Commissioner Bronson. Any further questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries to be sent to consent agenda. At this time, we're going to move on to executive session. Commissioner Howard, do we need to recognize anybody before we go? Do we need to recognize anybody before we go back to executive session? Okay, thank you. At this time, I entertain a motion to go into executive session for consultation with the county attorney or other legals to discuss pending or potential litigation, settlement claims, administrative proceedings, and all other items allowed by law. Motion to go into executive session? A motion by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Bronson. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. We're now in executive session. Get a motion to come out of executive session. Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Clark. We got a second. Second by Commissioner Wilder. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor come out of executive session, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries. We're now at executive session. We're going to go ahead and move on to, we've got a couple more items on the agenda tonight before we briefly dismiss and go into our regular scheduled meeting tonight. But is the item 8A is election of Mayor Pro Tem. This is something we have in January of each year at a night meeting, and we'll be having that today, and that person will serve for the rest of their term for this year. So at this time, we entertain a nomination for Mayor Pro Tem. Commissioner Wilder.
I nominate Seth Clark.
Okay, got a motion by Mr. Wilder for Mayor Pro Tem Clark. Do we have a second? Second. Got a second by Commissioner Jones. We'll take a vote on that and move on to the next one if we don't have at least 5 votes. Do we want to do a roll call vote? Isn't that how we do it? Yes, sir. That's how we generally do it. But
Yeah, that's right.
okay. We'll take a roll call vote. We'll start with Commissioner Wynn. How do you vote? Is that yes? Mr. Bronson, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Lucas, how do you vote? Commissioner Jones, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Clark, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilder, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Howell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Watkins, how do you vote? No. Commissioner Tillman, how do you vote?
No.
Okay, thank you. Motion carries. This time, we'll go ahead and move into the committee on committees. So we'll adjourn this meeting and move into the committee on committees with Mayor Pro Tem Clark. Okay. The first item of business, Mayor Pro Tem Clark, is to select a third member of the committee on committees. Do you have a preference, sir?
I recommend Commissioner Bronson.
Okay. I have a motion from Commissioner Bronson. I'll second that motion. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Bronson, did you have something, sir?
I respectfully decline this one.
Okay. And you want to remove that?
Yeah, I remove the motion.
Okay. This time I make a motion that we accept Commissioner Howell as an alternate. Would you like to second that? Mayor Pro Tem would like to second that. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries. Commissioner Howell, welcome to Committee on Committees. At this time, the next order of business will be the committee structure. Mayor Pro Tem Clark.
I'd like to make a motion to keep the status quo and not establish any committees for the year 2023.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Clark. What say you, Mr. Howell? Second. Got a second by Commissioner Howell. All those in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries by the Committee on Committee. That's the only one voting on that, by the way. So we do going to maintain the status quo and keep the committee of a whole like we've been doing now. There's no other items of business for this Committee on Committees. We'll go ahead and adjourn that Committee on Committees. And this time we'll adjourn the entire meeting, and we'll be back at 6 o'clock for our regularly scheduled meeting. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Macon-Bibb County Commission meeting. Today is Tuesday, January the 17th, and the time is now 6 o'clock. We'd like to welcome everyone here today. We do have a large a group today, and we have several items to take care of and some recognitions to do as well. However, we're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order and begin our meeting like we always do, and that is with a prayer. Our prayer tonight will be led by Pastor Lawrence Robinson from New City East Side. And Pastor, if you don't mind coming up to the podium there. And then that'll be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, and then the rest of our agenda.
Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you that you are our Father, our God. We thank you for your Son, Jesus Christ. You have entrusted these men and women, Lord, to lead your people in the right way. So, Lord, they're in need of wisdom, they're in need of discernment, and in need of, Lord, just your glory to look after the welfare of our city. And so I pray right now, Lord, as they do their job, that you would empower them, Lord, with wise decisions, that you would empower them, help them, Lord, to help us as a city be more fruitful and productive. And so we commit this meeting to you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. This time we have a few announcements from our attorneys regarding some upcoming film in Macon-Bibb County, so we'll have them come forward and get that information out.
Good evening again, Commissioners. Mayor Miller, Macon-Bibb County at large. I am very happy to announce that we do have another film project coming through. This is a Disney Plus and National Geographic production. If anyone has seen the series Genius, they are doing their season 4, and they are going through the life of Dr. Martin Luther King and Malcolm X as foils and parallels during the civil rights movement. So we're very happy to have them here. I will note there will be significant closures in downtown. Those are planned currently for Monday the 30th and Tuesday the 31st. So on Monday, we are looking at having a closure of Mulberry Street between 1st and 2nd. Courthouse access will still be available on 2nd Street. However, there will be significant parking lane closures, so just everybody plan ahead if you need to head downtown. And then on the 31st, they're looking at having 2nd Street between Mulberry and Cherry, as well as Cotton Avenue between Cherry and Mulberry, again closed. So significant parking lane closures outside of those areas, and just plan ahead. Does anybody have any questions about it?
Thank you, Ms. Beavers.
Thank you.
Any questions, Commissioners? Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on forward. We have several recognitions tonight. We're going to begin with recognizing members of the Elite Academy. And Commissioner Bill Howell, if you want to step down, as well as Commissioner Lucas.
Y'all come up from that way. Come in front of the podium on this side.
That's good. Mr. Mayor, Commission, and public at large, it's with great pleasure that I present the Elite Leadership Academy, which is part of Next Level Macon, which originated from the Bibb Mount Zion Church in South Bibb County, which me and Commissioner Lucas it's hers right now, but it will be District 7 shortly. But I just wanted to recognize this group. They came earlier today and got a tour of City Hall and understanding a little bit about what goes on here. They met with the mayor. They met with Dr. Moffitt. They went upstairs and maybe learned a little bit about finance. But I just want to point out that these are the future leaders in Bibb County. And I appreciate the fact that not only the church took it upon themselves to have this outreach for young adults that are learning a little bit about government and about life and just some good mentorship. What this organization does, it's an after-school program, it's a summer camp, and it's just getting these folks ready for the next step of their lives. I'm also proud to say that they're involved with, they're part of our Macon MVP program here in Macon, and so it's good to know that we're doing a little part, and that this good-looking set of young adults, and I look forward to maybe one day one or two of them might be sitting up here in one of the commission seats. So welcome to City Hall. Thank y'all for coming. Ms. Lucas, you got something to say, I know.
You didn't wear the right clothes today. So here, okay. Good afternoon. I want to add my welcome to you, to your City Hall. I'm quite familiar. Y'all trying to take my district. Just hold off a little bit. Bibb Mount Zion, is Pastor Little here? That church has been involved in a lot of civic activities for years and years and years, and it's just wonderful that now there's an opportunity to expand programs like this. So I want to congratulate all of you and thank you so much for all you're doing. We mourn for those young folks that we lose all the time. It's just horrible, but look at what we've still got. So I just applaud y'all and thank you so much. Stay in what you're doing. Please stay there, because really, all these old folks back here, they're not going to be there forever. And as Commissioner Howell says, we've got to have some replacements, and y'all are it. We're counting on you. Thank you.
Thank you.
That'll be the time for a picture if you want it.
Can we get the mayor?
Shift that way a little.
Yeah.
Next, we'll allow one of our most senior commissioners to announce the MLK Oratorical Competition winners and lead this program. Commissioner Lucas.
Thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to call on, all of you know that we just celebrated the date of birth of our own Dr. Martin Luther King. And on yesterday, we celebrated the national holiday. And a lot of people took time, they were off, And so they went to work in the community, and that is just great. There are many, many activities that are planned to commemorate the life and the works of Dr. Martin Luther King. The mayor, some of the commissioners, Reverend Ficklin, Ms. Meriwether, see, I got it right, and the members of the Martin Luther King board gathered in Rosa Parks Square, right out here, and we laid a wreath that began the series of events for 2023 in honor of Dr. King. Mayor made an announcement at the King celebration on yesterday that the niece, Rosa Parks' niece, will be here in Macon, Rosa Parks Square, and that's next
February
month.
the 1st at 11 o'clock.
Okay, and you're all invited to be a part of that. So Macon is moving. We're doing things and we're remembering people. Now, one of the events that was just wonderful took place on Saturday. I'm going to call on Ms. Natalie Allen. Okay. She is the coordinator, one of the coordinators in our Parks and Recreation Department, and she took charge of the MLK oratorical competition. And at this time, I'd like for her to come up, and she is going to introduce the high school winner, the first place winner, and the middle school winner. And hopefully, Ms. Mayor and fellow commissioners, by request, we probably will have an elementary level or group for next year. And I thought that was just great that there were some parents of elementary students who wanted the younger ones to be involved in the oratorical contest. So at this time, Ms. Allen.
Good evening to you all. Once again, my name is Natalie Allen. I'm the Recreation Programmer for Macon-Bibb County Parks and Recreation Department. It was an honor this year to be able to present the MLK Oratorical Competition and be able to meet some of the most amazing students that shared their stories and their essays. Our first student that we would like to call up is from our middle school division, Ms. Kylan Pete. Please give her a round of applause as she goes ahead and recite her essay that gave her the winning spot for this year.
Good evening, kings and queens. My dream, my vision, my plan. My dream is that we'll all come together, no matter what race or no matter what sexuality it is. It does not matter what differences we may encounter, we should stick together and try having more unity rather than hurting each other. My dream is for all people from over all kinds of backgrounds to understand one another, for them to become a village and help one another. Bullying will no longer be a problem for kids like me. No one will be judged by the clothes they wear or places they live. My vision is that young people will be able to play outside without worrying about getting hurt, and that they make better choices instead of turning to the streets. My vision is that parents will spend more time with their kids to keep them away from bad influences. My vision is for human trafficking of all sorts to stop forever, and humans to be able to shop, travel, and have fun without having to carry a considerate weapon. My vision is that crime will not have to be a problem, that this world can become heaven on earth. My plan of action is to create a safe place for kids of all ages to have fun activities and great ideas for them to feel like family and not a stranger. A place for adults to take all their stress away and to meet new people. My plan is to go through life and finish high school and to go to college and start my career. What is your dream? What is your vision? What is your plan?
Our next contestant for our high school division, I would like to call up Quintarius Hightower.
Good evening. Do you have a dream? Whether you have faith or not, we all share three things in common: a plan, a vision, and a dream. In the words of Langston Hughes, let America be America again. Land of the free and home to the brave. How I wish this was true. A nation that is divided cannot stand. Ruin and destruction will be its end. Why, my people, do you argue and quarrel among yourselves? Why do you tear down and not build to instill life with the hands you received as a gift to raise and protect? Lend a helping hand to a brother that is in need, and watch as the seeds you plant sprout into trees. Look around, gather and see all the lives that were given to plow the way for the free. MLK once stated, "I've been to the mountaintop. I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. A land flowing with milk and honey, where the rich and the poor prosper in peace. I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. A future where we stand united as one with justice and freedom for all. Standing before you today is merely a man with a dream, a vision, and a plan. How long will you stand by being idle? How long will you remain silent, watching as children and teens go on to murder each other? You ignore the cries of the brokenhearted, the fatherless, the abused, and the abandoned. What will it take to realize that the problem we have been facing will continue if you do nothing? We live in a fallen world and society corrupted by the deceitful desires of mankind. Yet I still dream. This cold and dark world will come to know the endless love of God revealed through Christ. The cycle of hate and pain must end. Today, I say no more. Love is the answer we have all been looking for. I am the voice of one calling out. Let freedom ring. To be free is to be no longer mastered by anything. With one voice we stand, sound the drums of liberation across the land. Open the gates, salvation is here at last. I have had the dream, I have seen the vision, I have known the plans. To men and women everywhere, what is your dream? What is your vision? And what is your plan? Will you stand with me today to make a difference? To unite the hearts of all communities, standing as one, marching alongside each other, restoring the bonds that once united us. The time is now to act. The decision and the choice is in your hands. Make your choice.
As I conclude, our theme for this year was I have a vision, a dream, and a plan. And we took our quote from Dr. Martin Luther King when he says the difference between a dreamer and a visionary is that a dreamer has his eyes closed and a visionary has his eyes open. And I hope that each and every one of you have your eyes open so that you can dream and pursue that dream that you want. Thank you.
Each one of our winners, first, second, and third place, received a monetary award. The high school winner received $300, the middle school $200, and the prize money was lower for second and third. They also received, you know, Sharice Merriweather does bikes. So they each will receive a bike, compliments of You Create Macon. And they also will receive a tablet, compliments of June O'Neill and the Mentors Project. So would you give them another hand? We need to ask the parents, the mayor, and the other member of the Martin Luther King Board, if you would join us for the picture, Dr. Fickley. Parents, come on. Just stand right out here.
Thank you for those presentations, and I think that deserves at least one more round of applause. Earlier, Commissioner Howell said that this is our future, and this is the representation of what we have to look forward in our future. Our future is bright in Macon-Bibb County. So thank you for being here. Thank you for those people that have provided support to these young men and women. We know they can't do that alone. Whatever capacities you played in their life, I certainly know that they appreciate that, and we appreciate that all that you do. We're going to go ahead and move on to several other items on our agenda today. Mr. Lucas, go
Mayor,
ahead. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to mention one final thing, and that is the Griffith Foundation was so kind. They awarded a grant to Parks and Recreation on last year, and they did it again this year to help with the prizes for us. So we wanted to certainly thank them for their support.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Lucas, and that the Griffith Foundation always does a wonderful job, and they certainly support our community in every way they can. So we certainly appreciate that, and thank you for bringing that to our attention. We're going to move on. We have I'm not aware of any public comments on agenda items, but we do have several on non-agenda items we'll get through in just a moment. Likewise, I'm not aware of any new or old business, but we do have a consent agenda. The consent agenda for students that were here earlier today is what I mentioned to you before. We've previously held meetings, and at those meetings we took votes on certain action items, and they'll remain on the agenda tonight as a group vote. So at this time we have a consent agenda with items A through V that have been passed by this commission. And at this time I entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda as published. Motion by Commissioner Wynn, second by everyone else. Commissioner Bronson and everybody else. We have a motion and a second. Commissioner Jones, you have the comment?
What are the conditions regarding A, final approval of alcohol beverage? Have we come up with conditions?
Yeah, we did the restrictions the last time by attorneys, and that was sent, and no appeal was filed, and that will be the the version.
Okay, just didn't recall those conditions, and maybe I'm mixing up the two.
The conditions were, this is the area that it will be inspected, and upon a failure of inspection by our code enforcement or others, that license at that time will come back for withdrawal from the commission.
Okay.
And specifically, the inspection is an inspection to determine whether it is actually functioning as a food mart or a vice mart. And if it is found to not be functioning as a food mart, then it will be deemed to have failed the inspection, and that would be grounds for revocation of the license.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm Assistant County Attorney Frank Howard.
We do have a motion and second. Thanks for that question and that clarification, Mr. Howard. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. We do have some comments on non-agenda items, and I know we have a couple of comments from commissioners to give you updates on some activities we have coming on. So we have 3 of those tonight that have signed up to speak. The first one is Miss Lisa Thomas. Miss Thomas, you with us today? Hey, come on forward, Miss Thomas. It's good to see you again. And Miss Thomas, as you may remember, if you'll go to that podium, he'll move that for you.
Hello, my name is Lisa Thomas.
Just one second, Miss Thomas. Miss Thomas was with us during an unfortunate situation where her son lost his life at Tobesofsky. And if you remember, she came here advocating for some things on behalf of her son that we could do to better improve the safety at the lake. And I think tonight she's going to speak on that issue again.
Yes, giving honor to each city council and the mayor and the community. I would like to address that I'm truly grateful for the changes at the Tobesofsky Lake. I'm really grateful that y'all got more safety out there for the ones that attend the Tobesofsky Lake and the marina. And I just want to show my gratitude that it's more safer. And I would ask that if something can be in honor of my son, Tyler Moss, because of the changes was made because of his transition. If it's some kind of way that we can give some honor in him, for nobody else don't have to go through the same thing I went through.
Thank you for being here tonight, Ms. Thomas. And again, you are in our prayers. We certainly hope that our community has learned a lot from that unfortunate situation there, and we'll look at anything that we can do in remembrance of your son there at the lake.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Miss Reverend Lydia Meredith. Miss Meredith with us tonight? Okay. Miss Meredith, good to see you again. And you want to speak on crime tonight. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you, sir. To the Honorable Mayor Lester Miller, thanks for Cherokee Heights Policing. Thanks to Sheriff Davis for his addition of 14 new police officers. And thanks to all commissioners for your public service. As promised, I am still reviewing police officer compensation over the past 10 years to find data that will help make Macon-Bibb the preferred choice for police officers seeking careers in law enforcement. It has come to my attention by community leaders that the Board of Commissioners need to speak out against the Macon-Bibb DA office and designate a task force or committee from the Board of Commissioners to investigate this office led by Anita Howard. The question is, why is crime so persistent in our communities? I shudder to think there may be kickbacks, other corruption, or other inefficiencies in processing criminals that keep the wheels turning against building a beloved, peaceful, and civil communities in Macon, Georgia. My concern is that my 96-year-old mother's home and neighborhood is sandwiched between 2 gang territories. There are 75 people charged with murder out on bond. 70 of those murders were committed in 2022, causing Macon to be on the most dangerous places to live list. 18 prosecutors exited Macon Judicial Circuit since Anita Howard took office. These statistics are threatening to the extent that investigation is warranted. Parenthetically, this hurts the mayor's community economic development initiatives because people do not want to live and do business in a place overwritten with crime. There is no reason for this behavior in this city. Senior gang members recruit younger 14-year-olds to commit crime so as to get lighter sentences, while senior gang members reward them with women, drugs, guns, and money. The cycle continues. Fannie Willis, the DA for Fulton County in this state, is a good example and a model worth imitating. She's cracking down on crime in the city of Atlanta and Fulton County. Thank you for your consideration. Thank you for your public service. Thank you for this time. It's time to change the narrative for Macon in 2023. God bless you.
At this time, we have one final. It's Mr. Keenan Special Bristol. Then we'll allow commissioners at the end to talk. Let's get through Mr. Bristol. He brought some materials to each of the commissioners here tonight, and he wants to speak about the Music Brings Life Genotype Collection Initiative. Mr. Bristol, you have 5 minutes, sir.
Thank you very much. Happy 23 to everyone. First, I would like to thank Mayor Lester Miller for meeting with us on several occasions, understanding the need for blood within the Black, Latino, and Caribbean communities in Macon, and also for people who live with sickle cell. Mayor Lester Miller, I was introduced by him from Mrs. Walker from Department of Education, and Mayor Lester Miller seen the issue and seen a solution for Music Brings Life. So now I would like to introduce what we're going to be doing in your communities directly to the commissioning board. My name is Keenan Special Bristol. I am an entertainer from New York City. I am the founder of Music Brings Life. Music Brings Life is a blood awareness organization that educates students within the Black, Latino, and Caribbean communities about the importance of donating blood. We use music and entertainment to capture the imaginations and connect with the spirits of students. And we strive to transform them into legend blood donors, meaning lifetime donors by the time they graduate from high school and going on to the next chapter in their life. Music Brings Life is open a new chapter in the state of Georgia, and we've made Macon our first place of increasing genotypic blood within the Macon communities. We actually had our first blood awareness assembly at Central High School a few weeks ago. Dr. Sims is supporting Music Brings Life. He actually texted me today saying, "I'm sorry I couldn't be there, but you guys are some fine people, so I'm in good hands." So our first blood awareness assembly that we had at Central High School, we raised 46 pints of blood among those students. We're aiming to raise 5,000 genotypic blood to serve 10,000 patients in Macon. They are correct. They have a dream and they have a vision. Mayor Lester Miller seen the dream. He's seen the vision of people that has sickle cell that are in need of blood donations in this community. We ask of you all to partner with us and support Music Brings Life upon our genotypic blood collection initiative. Thank you very much for your time. And I want to thank the youth here. I'm looking forward on being in your schools for our next assembly and next blood drive. The future is really in your hands. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Tillman?
If we're done, I was just going to do a point of personal privilege.
We got several of them, so if you want to go
okay.
first or you want to go last?
Oh, I would.
You're first up. I can go elsewhere if you want me to. We got Commissioner Lucas, Commissioner Clark, and myself and you.
We don't normally not supposed to speak and address certain issues of concern. I just want to say, commend folks always showing up. I remember I was the minority recruitment board for donating blood through the American Red Cross. I didn't hear their name mentioned, Commissioner Lucas used to be one of my clients because she had a unique type of blood that we would get and utilize. So you always have to include the American Red Cross because they are the #1 blood source as well. Yeah, she used to come in and give, and she has some type of, maybe she'll mention it. I don't know, some kind of unique blood that we would even want to pay her to come and give blood back in the day. And then folks need to, years ago we had a recreation director that once said that when it came to people living in our community, people move and live in a community because they want their families to grow. We cannot allow folks to show up and say that gang members are controlling a neighborhood and say where you're going to live and who lives here and so forth. Life is not based on that. Crime is everywhere, and they're criminals. And so we can't say crime is in this neighborhood or that neighborhood, and that's why we're targeting something. We have to be careful because we almost did that one time when it came to recreation center when we wanted to add more things for our recreation center that people were thinking that we got to be careful because gang members. No, we don't live like that, and we don't put things in place because we're worrying about gang members. And so we just have to be cautious when we say that, and we blame folks and other folks for crime and criminals. We can't blame especially elected officials. Can't blame elected officials for crime and for criminals. And I just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Mr. Tillman. Commissioner Lucas?
Thank you very much. And he's talking about my blood like this problem. I do have O negative, and I started giving blood when I was a senior in college at Savannah State many years ago, and continued to give until a couple of years ago when I was no longer able to give. But I'm very proud, and as a matter of fact, I put it on my resume that I am a lifetime blood donor and an organ donor, and so I commend you folks. And I too know that we're not supposed to respond, but this is just so important. And I want to say to the black folks in this community, we don't give nearly enough blood. The research has shown that there are some individuals whose blood works better and whose organs work better. And I know you don't want to just give up, you don't want to have to give up your organs. I'm being serious about people becoming blood donors and also organ donors. It just works better for everybody. And I think Ms. Tillman, he didn't mention it, but in many cases, a lot of our folks, black folks, are skeptical of the healthcare system, and they don't go to get treatment as soon as they should. And so when they present themselves, they are sicker. Many are sicker. And that goes for anybody, no matter what your race is. But if you're a low income, then that tends to be the problem as well. You wait until you're very ill, until you need blood, but then you have folks of your own race who are not donating as they should. So I would encourage everybody who's walking around boasting about how healthy they are, go and start giving blood. You will feel so good about yourself. And the last thing I want to say is I was privileged to be on a program a few weeks ago where the district attorney, the Honorable Anita Reynolds Howard, was a part of a graduation ceremony for young people who had some challenges in the past. And she had initiated a program that allowed these young people to get counseling and a whole lot of other services, wraparound services. And these young people graduated and were just treated just as special as they really are on that day. So I commend her for all the work that she does. That was the RISE program. And I know for a fact that this DA has done more as far as putting the bad guys away, clearing the cases that were just stagnant for the longest time, but also talking about and stressing prevention. We just approved, what was that budget amount that we approved? A grant that we were the pass-through for, that they applied for?
$2.5 million.
That they're going to use to help our young people to escape all of those negative things that are out there trying to just take our children from us. You can't believe everything you hear. Everybody has an opinion. A lot of them are wrong. And we've heard some stuff tonight that's absolutely wrong, headed wrong. And so I'm here to say to you that that program was inspirational. I am committed to going out, and she said what she was going to do is go and grab our young people and help them to become what they can be. So when y'all hear about what she's doing, just know that that is a queen who is doing what she's supposed to be doing and not just coming down here talking every time we have a meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lucas. Mayor Pro Tem Clark.
Yeah, I have two things. I'd like to remind the commission and the public about an event on Friday at 10 a.m. Per the ordinance change that we approved last month. We will be raising the Muskogee Creek Nation's flag in front of City Hall. Chief David Hill and Second Chief Del Beaver from the Muskogee Creek Nation will be flying in from the Muskogee Creek Reservation from Oklahoma for this event Friday, and it is I think it's going to be incredibly powerful, and I hope you will attend. It is as a show of support for this burgeoning relationship that's growing around the stewardship of what is going to be Georgia's next national park and preserve, or first national park and preserve, the country's next national park and preserve. Secondly, before I was elected, I worked at the General Assembly on higher education access, the Hope Scholarship and the Hope Grant in particular, and I would just be remiss if I didn't take the opportunity to thank a number of people who have worked for a decade to get the Hope factor rate to 100%. There have been advocates in both parties in the General Assembly for about a decade who have been asking this governor and the previous governor to do that, and that factor rate is set at 100% in the governor's proposed budget. That means that the original promise of the Hope Scholarship for the university system and the Hope Grant for the technical college system of being tuition free will be met again as it was in the 90s as passed. That means tuition free technical college and tuition free state college for families that need that. It is an incredible step in the right direction. It's been a decade in the making, and I just would want to thank the governor. Particularly want to thank Stacey Evans, a state representative out of Atlanta, who has advocated for this for quite some time, and I'm excited to see the state moving in the right direction because it will fill a gap for higher education access that's been wide and hurting hardworking Georgians for a decade. So thank you to Governor Kemp and to Stacey Evans.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Clark. Just have two brief announcements before we adjourn, mainly for commissioners, but certainly for the general public as well. Reminder that we have a fire training center ribbon cutting tomorrow at 10 o'clock Wednesday, and that's something that we all voted unanimously to do. And certainly, I think you're going to be impressed from the last time you were there and now. That'll be on Tinker Drive, and everyone's welcome to attend that ribbon cutting. Also, we have the airport runway extension that's going to be the groundbreaking next Tuesday at 10 o'clock, but you must arrive by 9:30. So don't, even though you're a commissioner and we love you, if you don't get there by 9:30, you won't get on the tarmac to get there. So please arrive early, and that goes for all other invited guests because it is an airport, and we do have federal guidelines, there are some requirements that we have to do. Those are two very important announcements. Number one, we have this commission has appropriated more money than ever for public safety, including a $40 million incentive pay to attain and attract the very best officers. But at the same time, they have funded the airport runway extension through their capital improvements to make sure that it happens now and not later. And we're excited about that runway being extended so we can bring bigger planes, better jobs to Macon-Bibb County. So everyone's invited to that event there. Want to make sure you put that on your schedule. If not, we will speak on your behalf, but we appreciate all your support on those two items. So if that's all the business that brings us here today, we will see you again at our next meeting.